Fackham Hall needs to be said very carefully, but it's a movie that is so funny. Thomasin McKenzie, Ben Radcliffe. Thomasin, tell us what this movie's about for people who aren't familiar with this kind of parody film.
Fackham Hall is a spoof, kind of a piss take on Downton Abbey, any like kind of classic period drama, a mix of Downton Abbey and The Naked Gun and Airplane. It's a love story that goes in an unexpected direction.
Has so many elements that are so funny. It's like slapstick comedy, it's like shocking comedy, it's like crude comedy. There's so many different elements of the humor. Ben, what was it like to sign on to this movie and work with this ensemble cast?
Do you know what? I remember getting the script through and reading it, and I was like, I felt so sad because I was like, there's a possibility that I might not get this role. And so I was so lucky when I actually did because it's just such a good time. And amazing cast, everyone's so talented, and yeah, we had a lot of fun doing it.
Obviously, you've been in some really, really great dramas like Leave No Trace, Last Night in Soho, Jojo Rabbit, which crosses into that comedy, which I love. But here, this is full-fledged comedy. What did you kind of take from those dramatic roles to kind of put to the side and now be in this comedy that is just laugh out loud funny?
Um, well, it was actually unexpectedly similar to making a drama. From the very beginning, Jim, the director, um, just asked us to take every single scene, take the roles, everything happening as seriously as possible, to forget, the all the gags, everything going on in the background. Um, which I think, yeah, helps to sell the whole thing for each and every character. Well, at least for like Rose and for Eric, it was all serious. Yeah, especially like the romance to them that was real.
I guess that is a great point because that helps sell the comedy, the slapstick of it. Ben, I mean, we have Tom Felton, Draco Malfoy in this movie as well. What was it like working with him? I mean, because we have seen him for years in that role. He's now back on Broadway playing that role in a play. What was it like working with him?
Yeah, I'm so happy for him right now. He seems like he's absolutely smashing it on Broadway. Uh, me and Tom are really close. Like we play golf like every week. He's great. And he's got one of my favorite lines in the film, one of my favorite jokes. He's very, very funny and feel very, yeah, blessed to have been in this movie with all of these people. Everyone's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's a really different role for him and for all of you as well. I mean, this adoration, it's flattering for Downton Abbey fans. I'm a huge Downton Abbey fan, watching all the seasons, watching all the movies. Thomason, have you gotten any response from any of the actors in Downton Abbey now that they know you're in this movie?
I haven't. I don't, but I was a little bit nervous while we were making it that it might be taken as offensive but I don't think it is. I think, like you said, I think it is a compliment in a roundabout way.
It really is there's a saying that they say like imitation is the biggest flattery, and I think this certainly fits that bill. Ben, what do you hope people take away from watching this movie this holiday season with friends, with family, by themselves, however they want to watch it?
I just really hope that people laugh, and
Yeah.
I think they will. I think people want to laugh, and this film is just absolutely full of jokes, and it's a genre that I'm very pleased is kind of coming back. Um, and then also at the same time, I kind of hope people enjoy the kind of heartfelt love story at the center of it at the same time and feel a bit attached to the characters uh, amongst the chaos.
The love story is there, the comedy is there. Fackham Hall in theaters December 5th. Ben Thomason, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
When you're telling people that you watched Fackham Hall, make sure you say the name very carefully because it could be very inappropriate, but it's so funny. Director Jim O'Hanlon, how did you come aboard this movie?
I'd done a Christmas movie actually with the producer, Chris Tickier, and he said, I said, I've got this film script. I'd love you to have a look at it. It's been written partly by Jimmy Carr, and so that was immediately interesting for me because he's one of the great British comedians. And he told me the title, and I thought, oh, that's genius. Why has nobody thought of this before? Why has this not been done? And a great title for a film. Definitely works better in an English accent than an Irish accent, I've got to tell you. It doesn't really work so well. You got to drop those H's for the joke to work. Uh, so I read it, and I was going, sometimes you get a script and you go, oh, I hope this is as good as I think it's going to be with that pedigree. And it was the Dawson brothers, whose work I loved from TV and from the Bubble, the Judd Apatow film. And I read it and I just went, it was just joke after joke after joke. It was just, and all the variety was just like, oh my God, there's pratfalls, there's visual jokes, there's silly jokes, there's sophisticated jokes, there's crude jokes, there's polite jokes, there's every joke. So read it once and said to Chris, I'm in, count me in.
You are so in. There's no doubt about that. Jimmy Carr, like you said, I mean, he does not shy away from any controversies. He will go there just to go there. What was it like kind of working with him and having him lead the script this way?
It was great. It was great fun. He's very open and generous, and him and his brother Patrick and the Dawson brothers. It was great sitting down with them. The script was fabulous when I read it. There were extra stuff. There was always better stuff we could bring in, or new stuff, or extra jokes. And obviously, I had directed period dramas myself, so I was able to bring a little bit of, there's always this scene and there's always that scene, and how can we lampoon that, and how can we make a joke of that? How can we make that? What's the funny version of that? So he was, and they were endlessly inventive, the guys, endlessly. And sometimes you'd have to go back because he couldn't afford to do it, or we couldn't get the right location. What's the different version of that? And they just every time came up with new funny things to play.
I'm such a huge fan of Downton Abbey, and I want to say imitation is the biggest flattery because watching this movie after seeing all the seasons, all the movies of Downton Abbey, I'm like, okay, that's where this is. That's where this. It's so funny. What do you hope audiences that still love Downton Abbey across the world? What do you hope that they can accept this and take this movie in just with a grain of salt and just love and laugh this at this movie?
Well, that's the exact reaction we're hoping for, Trevor, and I'm delighted that you felt that way because I have a great affection for Downton Abbey, for the characters, for the actors that are in it, for the settings and the production values and the houses and all that sort of stuff. And I've done them myself. I did Emma for the BBC. One of my favorite things I've ever done, was that period drama. So for me, I was always keen right the way along to say, look, this has got to be. My mantra was, if you hate Downton Abbey, you'll love this. If you love Downton Abbey, you'll love it even more because you've got all the things we like about Downton Abbey. I kept the settings real. Knowsley Hall is the most extraordinary, beautiful house. Got these sumptuous locations and settings, hairstyles. Rose Davenport, who did the costumes for me, absolutely meticulous about who would be wearing what at dinner and who'd be wearing it at. They have to change between dinner and drinks and all this sort of stuff going on. So we wanted to keep it all the things you love about Downton Abbey, I hope, are present and correct, along with something like 300 jokes, which you would not necessarily expect to find in Downton Abbey.
That is all there in this cast. I mean, Thomasin McKenzie, Ben Radcliffe, Tom Felton, Catherine Waterston, Damian Lewis. Like, we could just keep naming all these stars that assemble for this. It has to be good writing and good directing to get all of these caliber people. What was it like once they were finally all together and shooting this movie?
Listen, we had such a brilliant time, and they have, they've got a big WhatsApp group now for all the actors, and I've now been allowed onto it. I feel like I've graduated. I'm on the actors WhatsApp group, so I'm very proud of myself. They became like a little family because it was just such fun every day. You were in these beautiful costumes, which is fun. Like, we're all dressing up ultimately, and they loved being in the costumes and then performing this ridiculous, silly stuff and funny stuff and ludicrous stuff, and it was a brilliant time doing it. And I hope that sort of shines through, and that for an audience they can feel that kind of warmth and joy, but also the kind of massive number of jokes.
silly, but in the best way, what we need this holiday season. Fackham Hall in theaters December 5th. Jim, thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure, Trevor. Thanks for taking the time.